Picture this. You're in a meeting. You share an idea, something you've been thinking about for weeks. You lay it out clearly, logically, confidently. And then, nothing. A few polite nods. Someone checks their phone. The conversation moves on. 10 minutes later, someone else says almost the exact same thing. Suddenly, everyone's engaged. Nodding. Building on it. Taking notes. Your idea. Their credit. And you sit there wondering what just happened. Or maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe you've set a boundary that gets crossed. Given advice that gets dismissed. Tried to make a point and been talked over. Again and again and again. And here's the thing that eats at you, you know you're not wrong. Your ideas are solid. Your points are valid. So why don't people listen? You've probably blamed yourself. Thought maybe you're not competent enough. Not charismatic enough. Maybe you don't have the right credentials, the right presence, the right something. And you've tried to fix it. You've worked on your content, chosen your words carefully, maybe even practiced in the mirror. But nothing really changes. People still don't listen the way they listen to others. Here's what nobody's told you. The problem isn't your message. It's not your confidence. It's not even your ideas. The problem is something so subtle, so invisible, that you've probably never even thought about it. Your tone. And I'm not talking about being nice or being assertive. I'm talking about the actual sound of your voice, the pitch, the pace, the pauses. The acoustic signals your voice sends before your words even register in someone's brain. Because here's the uncomfortable truth that changes everything. When you speak, people decide whether to listen to you in about 3 seconds. And in those 3 seconds, they're not processing what you're saying. They're processing how you sound. Your brain, everyone's brain, analyzes vocal tone faster than it decodes language. Pitch, rhythm, emotional resonance, pauses, all of it gets judged before the meaning of your words even reaches conscious thought. You're being evaluated on a level you can't see, by rules you were never taught. Think about that for a second. You could have the perfect words, the perfect argument, the perfect solution. But if your tone signals uncertainty, anxiety, or low status, your words land like whispers in a hurricane. This is why some people can say almost nothing and command a room. And why others can say everything right and get ignored. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is just how I sound. This is my voice. And I get it. Your voice feels like part of your identity. But here's the thing, the way you currently speak isn't your natural voice. It's a collection of habits you've picked up over years. Habits shaped by nervousness, by trying to fit in, by rushing through conversations because you're afraid people will stop listening. Your real voice, the one that actually carries weight, is buried under all of that. And here's the exciting part. This is fixable. Completely, practically, immediately fixable. You don't need to change your personality. You don't need to become an extrovert or take acting classes or pretend to be someone you're not. You just need to understand how tone actually works. The psychology behind it. The specific elements that make people stop scrolling, stop interrupting, and actually lean in when you speak. That's what we're doing here. I'm going to show you exactly how your tone shapes perception, how to identify the habits that are killing your credibility, and how to master the 3 elements that separate people who get heard from people who get ignored. By the time we're done, you'll never think about communication the same way again. And more importantly, you'll never be dismissed the same way again. So let's start with why this matters more now than ever before. We live in a world where your voice is everywhere. Zoom calls, voice messages, podcasts, video content, phone calls that determine whether you get the job, close the deal, resolve the conflict. You can't hide behind carefully edited text anymore. Your tone is your brand. And whether you realize it or not, people are making judgments about you every single time you open your mouth. Is she confident or insecure? Is he trustworthy or trying to manipulate me? Does this person know what they're talking about, or are they faking it? Your tone answers these questions before you've finished your first sentence. And if your tone is working against you, everything else you do is swimming upstream. The cost of being ignored isn't small. It's the promotion that goes to someone less qualified but more executive sounding. It's the relationship where your needs get sidelined because your words don't land with weight. It's the presentation where people check out halfway through, not because your content is boring, but because your delivery doesn't command attention. Every time your tone undercuts your message, you lose. Not because you're less capable, but because you're speaking in a language the subconscious brain doesn't respect. But here's the flip side. Master your tone, and you unlock something incredibly powerful. You can walk into any conversation, any meeting, any conflict, any pitch, and know that when you speak, people will stop and listen. Not because you're louder. Not because you're more aggressive. But because your voice carries an unconscious authority that bypasses resistance and lands directly in the decision-making centers of the brain. Let me tell you about the science you probably never heard. When someone speaks to you, your brain processes sound in layers. The first layer, the fastest one, analyzes the acoustic properties of the voice. Pitch, rhythm, tone, emotional coloring. This happens in milliseconds, and it's completely unconscious. Your amygdala, the part of your brain that handles threats and trust, is reading that person's voice for danger signals or safety signals. High pitch, fast pace, lots of filler words? Your brain reads that as anxiety, which gets interpreted as low status or untrustworthiness. Low pitch, measured pace, controlled pauses? Your brain reads that as calm confidence, which gets interpreted as authority and credibility. Only after that first layer does your brain start decoding the actual words. Meaning comes second. Tone comes first. And here's the wild part, even after your conscious mind processes the words, your unconscious impression from the tone is already set. You can say all the right things, but if your tone said the wrong things first, you've already lost. This is why actors sound different than regular people. Why great leaders, podcasters, and influencers have a certain quality to their voice that just feels authoritative. It's not talent. It's not genetics. It's technique. They've learned, sometimes consciously, sometimes through trial and error, how to control the acoustic signals their voice sends. And now their tone does half the work for them. There's a gap between what you think you sound like and what other people actually hear. You know that moment when you hear a recording of your own voice and cringe? That's not because your voice is bad. It's because you're finally hearing what everyone else hears. And chances are, you're hearing nervous habits you didn't even know you had. The uptalk, where your sentences end on a rising pitch, like you're asking a question even when you're making a statement. The filler words, like, that fills silence because you're uncomfortable with pauses. The rushed pace that signals you don't really believe people want to hear what you're saying. The monotone that makes even exciting ideas sound boring. These aren't personality flaws. They're habits. And habits can be changed. So here's where most people get it wrong. They think the solution is to be more confident. Just be confident, and people will listen. But that's backwards. Confidence is the result of good tone, not the cause. When you learn to control your pitch, pace, and pauses, you start sounding confident. And when you sound confident, you start feeling confident. The external change creates the internal shift, not the other way around. This is why positive affirmations and mindset work alone don't fix this problem. You can tell yourself you're confident all day long, but if your tone is still signaling anxiety, people won't believe you. Your voice is betraying you. And the only way to fix it is to address the voice itself. Let me give you the framework. There are 3 elements of tone that control how people perceive you. I call them the 3 Ps: pitch, pacing, pausing. Get these 3 right, and everything changes. Get them wrong, and it doesn't matter how good your content is, you'll keep getting ignored. Let's break them down one by one, and I'll show you exactly why you've been getting them wrong and how to fix them starting today. First, pitch. This is the frequency of your voice, how high or low it sounds. And here's the psychology: lower pitch equals authority and calmness. Higher pitch equals anxiety and submission. This isn't arbitrary. It's evolutionary. For thousands of years, the human brain has associated deep voices with physical size, strength, and leadership. High-pitched voices with vulnerability, fear, or youth. Now, obviously, this isn't about your natural vocal range. You're not trying to fake a voice that isn't yours. You're trying to access the lower end of your natural range instead of speaking from the higher end, which is where most people go when they're nervous. Let me give you a real example. Think about Sarah. She's a project manager at a tech company. Smart, capable, knows her stuff. But in meetings, her ideas consistently get overlooked. She'll suggest a strategy, and the room just moves on. Then someone else, usually a guy with a deeper voice, will say something similar, and suddenly everyone's on board. For the longest time, Sarah thought it was a gender thing. And maybe there's some bias there. But the real issue was her pitch. When Sarah got nervous, which was every meeting, her voice would rise. She'd end her sentences with an upward inflection, like she was asking for permission instead of stating a fact. We should probably focus on user retention? Even though she meant it as a statement, it sounded like a question. Her tone was unconsciously signaling uncertainty. And the room responded to the signal, not the content. Here's what changed everything for Sarah. She learned to drop her pitch slightly and end her sentences on a downward tone. Same words. Same ideas. Completely different response. Instead of "we should focus on user retention" with a rising pitch, she said "we should focus on user retention" with a falling pitch, like she was stating a fact, not asking for approval. Suddenly, people started taking notes, asking follow-up questions, building on her ideas. She didn't change what she said. She changed how she said it. And the room started listening. The mistake most people make? They think they need to be loud to be heard. So they raise their volume, which often raises their pitch, which actually makes them sound less authoritative. Volume doesn't equal authority. Pitch does. You can speak quietly and command a room if your pitch is low and controlled. You can shout and still get ignored if your pitch is high and strained. Here's the fix. Speak from your chest, not your throat. When you're nervous, your voice comes from your throat and rises in pitch. When you're calm, it comes from your chest and sits lower. Before you speak, especially before saying something important, take a breath deep into your belly. Then let the sound come from your chest. It'll naturally sit lower. And end your statements with a downward inflection. Period. Not question mark. That tiny shift tells the listener's brain, this person knows what they're talking about. Now let's talk about the second element, pacing. This is how fast or slow you speak. And here's the paradox, most people speed up when they want to be heard. They think if they talk faster, they can fit more information in before they lose someone's attention. But fast speech does the opposite. It signals nervousness. It tells the listener, I don't believe you'll stay interested, so I'm rushing to get this out before you leave. Think about Marcus. He's a startup founder, trying to raise funding. He's got a great product, solid numbers, a clear vision. But every time he pitches to investors, he gets a polite "we'll think about it" and never hears back. Why? Because he talks fast. Really fast. He's trying to cram his entire business plan into 5 minutes because he's terrified of losing their attention. And what happens? The investors feel overwhelmed. They can't absorb the information. Their brains check out halfway through because the pace doesn't give them time to process. And when the meeting ends, Marcus wonders why they didn't see the value. Here's what changed for Marcus. He cut his pitch in half and slowed down by about 30%. Instead of trying to say everything, he focused on 3 key points and gave each one room to breathe. He paused between ideas. He let important numbers sit in the air for a second before moving on. And suddenly, investors started leaning in. Asking questions. Engaging. Because he gave them space to think. He gave his words time to land. Slow speech signals control. It says, I'm not worried about keeping your attention, because what I'm saying is worth your time. It creates a feeling of calm authority. And counterintuitively, it actually keeps people engaged longer, because their brains can keep up. The mistake here is filling silence with filler words. Like. You know. So. These creep in when you're uncomfortable with pauses, when you feel like you need to keep sound coming out of your mouth to hold attention. But filler words do the opposite. They dilute your message and signal that you're unsure of what you're saying. Here's the fix. Slow down to about 80% of your natural pace. It'll feel weird at first. It'll feel like you're talking too slow. But to everyone else, it sounds perfectly normal, and way more credible. Articulate your consonants clearly. Let important words land before you move to the next thought. And when you feel the urge to say just pause instead. Which brings us to the third element. Pausing. This is the most powerful tool in your arsenal, and it's the one most people are terrified of. Silence. That brief gap between thoughts. That moment where nothing is being said. We've been conditioned to think silence is awkward, that it makes us look unsure or unprepared. But the truth is the exact opposite. Pausing is how you command a room. Here's the psychology. Silence creates tension, anticipation, and emphasis. When you pause, you force the listener to pay attention. Their brain perks up, wondering what's coming next. And when you finally speak, your words land with 10 times the impact. Pausing signals confidence. It says, I'm comfortable with silence because I don't need to fill every second to keep your attention. Let me tell you about Jennifer. She's a high school teacher, and she was losing control of her classroom. Kids talking over her, not paying attention, constant disruptions. She tried everything, talking louder, being stricter, giving more consequences. Nothing worked. She was exhausted and ready to quit. Then she learned one simple technique, the pause. Instead of talking constantly, trying to fill every second with instructions or information, she started pausing. She'd ask a question, then stop and wait for 3 full seconds before saying anything else. She'd make an important point, then pause for 2 seconds to let it sink in. And something incredible happened. The silence grabbed attention. When Jennifer went quiet, the kids stopped talking. They looked up. They waited to see what she'd say next. The pauses created a rhythm, a sense of control. And suddenly, she had her classroom back. The same principle works in every context. Comedians use pauses to set up punchlines. Leaders use pauses to emphasize key points. Great speakers use pauses to let emotional moments breathe. If you watch a TED Talk, count how many times the speaker pauses. It's way more than you think. And every pause makes the next sentence more powerful. The mistake is being afraid of silence. Thinking it makes you look like you don't know what to say. But here's the truth, leaders, comedians, and great speakers live in the pause. They know that silence is where power lives. Here's the fix. Practice the 3-second rule. Pause for 3 seconds before answering a question. It makes you look thoughtful, not slow. Pause for 2 seconds after making an important statement. It lets the idea land instead of getting buried under your next sentence. And when you feel the urge to fill silence with or like, just don't. Embrace the pause. Get comfortable with the brief discomfort. Because that discomfort you feel? That's power being transferred from the listener to you. Now, let's talk about the mistakes that are killing your credibility. Because even if you understand pitch, pacing, and pausing, there are specific habits that sabotage everything. Mistake number 1, uptalk. This is when you end statements like they're questions. Your pitch rises at the end of the sentence, which unconsciously signals that you're seeking approval or unsure of what you're saying. I think we should move forward with this plan? It sounds like you're asking permission. Even if you're the one in charge, uptalk makes you sound subordinate. It undermines every word that came before it. Mistake number 2, monotone delivery. This is when your pitch doesn't vary at all. You sound flat, disinterested, robotic. Even if you care deeply about what you're saying, monotone makes it sound boring. Your tone is supposed to match the emotional content of your message. If you're talking about something exciting, your pitch should lift slightly. If you're talking about something serious, it should drop. Monotone tells the listener's brain, this doesn't matter, even when it does. Mistake number 3, over-explaining. Using 100 words when 20 would land harder. This usually happens when you don't trust that your point was clear, so you keep adding more explanation, more context, more justification. But all those extra words dilute the impact. They make you sound unsure. Confident people make their point and stop. They trust that their words were enough. Mistake number 4, matching the other person's chaotic energy. If someone comes at you stressed, talking fast, emotionally charged, your instinct might be to match their energy. But that's a mistake. When you match chaos, you lose control of the conversation. Instead, you want to lead the tone. Stay calm. Speak slower. Lower your pitch. Your controlled tone will actually pull them down and de-escalate the situation. All of these mistakes come from the same limiting belief: this is just how I talk. I can't change it. And I need you to hear this. Your current tone is a habit, not your identity. You learned to speak this way through years of unconscious conditioning. And you can unlearn it just as easily. You're not trying to become someone else. You're removing the static that's been hiding your real voice all along. Here's the reframe that changes everything. You're not faking confidence when you control your tone. You're revealing competence. Think about it. When you're anxious, your pitch rises, your pace speeds up, you avoid pauses. That's the anxiety talking, not you. When you lower your pitch, slow your pace, and embrace pauses, you're not pretending to be calm, you're removing the interference that anxiety creates. You're letting your actual competence come through. Every person you admire who speaks well, every podcaster, every leader, every TED speaker, is using these exact techniques. They're not naturally gifted. They've just learned the same principles you're learning right now. The only difference is they've practiced them long enough that they've become automatic. So the question isn't, can I do this? The question is, am I willing to do this? Because it's not complicated. It's just unfamiliar. And unfamiliar feels uncomfortable until it becomes habit. Alright, you understand the psychology. You know what's been going wrong. Now let me give you the exact framework to fix it. I call this the tone method. For steps you can use immediately, in your very next conversation. T stands for tune your baseline. Before you can fix your tone, you need to know what you actually sound like. Record yourself speaking for 30 seconds. Talk about anything, what you did today, what you're working on, doesn't matter. Then listen back. And I mean really listen. Don't cringe and delete it. Listen objectively, like you're analyzing someone else. What do you notice? Are you speaking fast or slow? High or low? Do you have uptalk? Filler words? Monotone? Identify your nervous habits. And then, this is important, choose one to fix first. Not all of them. 1. Because trying to change everything at once will overwhelm you, and you'll change nothing. Pick the habit that's hurting you most. Maybe it's uptalk. Maybe it's pace. Maybe it's avoiding pauses. Start there. O stands for own the pause. This is your quickest win. Starting today, practice silence. When someone asks you a question, count to 3 in your head before you answer. It'll feel like an eternity. It's not. It's 3 seconds. And in those 3 seconds, 2 things happen. 1. You look thoughtful and composed. 2. You give yourself time to formulate a better answer. Pause after you ask a question. It gives the other person space to think. Pause after you make a key point. It lets the idea sink in instead of getting buried. Get comfortable with the brief discomfort of silence. That discomfort is the feeling of power shifting toward you. N stands for navigate with pitch. This is about accessing the lower end of your natural range. Before you speak, especially before saying something important, take a deep breath into your belly. Let it ground you. Then imagine your voice coming from your chest, not your throat. Speak from that deeper place. And pay attention to your inflection. End statements with a downward pitch. Period, not question mark. If you're telling a story, vary your pitch to match the emotion, slightly higher for excitement, lower for seriousness. But always come back to that grounded, chest voice baseline for your main points. E stands for engineer your pace. Slow down. I can't stress this enough. Most people need to cut their speed by about 20 to 30%. It feels slow to you. It sounds perfect to everyone else. Articulate your consonants clearly, don't let words blur together. And let important words land. If you say something crucial, give it a beat before you move on. Let it sit in the air. That's how you make sure it actually reaches the listener's brain instead of getting lost in the flow. Those 4 steps. Tune your baseline. Own the pause. Navigate with pitch. Engineer your pace. That's the tone method. And here's how you use it in real life, starting today. Scenario 1, your next meeting. You've got something to say. Before you speak, take a breath. Let it drop into your belly. Feel your body ground. Then start talking from your chest, not your throat. Deliver your point in half the words you normally would. No over-explaining. Just the core idea. Then pause. 2 full seconds. Let it land. Don't rush to fill the silence. Just let your words sit there. Watch what happens. People will stop multitasking. They'll look at you. They'll actually hear what you said. Because your tone told them it mattered. Scenario 2, a difficult conversation. Maybe it's a conflict with a partner, a tough talk with your boss, a boundary you need to set. Here's what you do. Match your tone to the outcome you want, not the emotion you're feeling. If you want calm resolution, speak calmly, even if you're angry inside. Lower pitch. Slow pace. Controlled pauses. If the other person gets heated, don't match their energy. Slow down even more. Let your tone lead them back to calm. Use pauses to regain control when emotions rise. Silence is a reset button. Every time you pause, you take back the frame of the conversation. Scenario 3, a presentation. This is where you get to use everything. Start with a 3-second pause. Before you say a single word, just stand there and look at the audience for 3 seconds. It grabs attention immediately. People wonder what's happening. Then, when you speak, vary your pace. Slow down for key points, let them breathe. Speed up slightly for stories or background context. But always slow down again for the takeaway. Use pitch to match emotion. Lower for serious points. Slightly higher for moments of excitement or surprise. And end with a low-pitched, slow statement. Something quotable. Something that sits in the room after you stop talking. That's how you leave a lasting impression. Now, let me paint you a picture. Imagine walking into your next conversation with quiet certainty. Not arrogance. Not fake confidence. Just calm assurance that when you speak, people will listen. You're not hoping they'll pay attention. You know they will. Because you've learned to control the signals your voice sends. Imagine someone interrupting you, and instead of shrinking or talking faster, you just pause. You let the silence do the work. And they stop. They wait. Because your pause told them you're not finished, and what's coming next matters. Imagine your ideas finally getting the respect they deserve. Not because you changed the ideas, but because you changed how you delivered them. Same content, different tone, completely different outcome. This isn't about becoming someone else. It's not about faking a personality that doesn't fit you. It's about finally being heard as yourself. The real you, competent, capable, worth listening to. Your tone has been hiding that person. And now you know how to let them out. The voice you've been looking for has been inside you all along. You just needed to remove the noise. The nervous habits. The rushed pace. The rising inflection. All the static that anxiety and conditioning layered on top of your real voice. Strip that away, and what's left is a voice that carries weight. A voice that commands attention. A voice that changes how people see you and how you see yourself. Remember that meeting where someone else got credit for your idea? That doesn't happen when you master your tone. Remember that conversation where you set a boundary and it got ignored? That doesn't happen when you speak with controlled pauses and low pitch. Remember that presentation where you could feel people checking out? That doesn't happen when you engineer your pace and own the silence. Everything changes when your tone changes. Because people don't remember what you say. They remember how you made them feel. And your tone is how you make them feel. It's the invisible current running underneath your words, shaping perception, building trust, commanding respect. You've got the framework now. You know the psychology. You know the mistakes. You know the method. The only question left is whether you'll use it. Whether you'll record yourself and actually listen. Whether you'll practice the pause even though it feels uncomfortable. Whether you'll slow down even though it feels unnatural at first. Because here's the truth. This works. Not sometimes. Not for some people. It works. Every single time you lower your pitch, slow your pace, and own your pauses, you shift how people perceive you. The science is clear. The psychology is proven. And the results are immediate. If this changed how you think about communication, if you're seeing your own conversations differently now, you're going to want to go even deeper. Because we've only scratched the surface of influence psychology. There's so much more. How to read other people's tone and adapt in real time. How to use vocal techniques to de-escalate conflicts before they explode. How to build trust through micro-adjustments in pitch and rhythm. This is just the beginning. Master your tone. Master your influence. The world is listening. Now make sure you're saying something worth hearing.